Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Chatter Up with me, Alex. Alright, so before we get started, if you haven't already, don't forget to go and like and follow me on Facebook and Twitter. We actually have had a recent change. Facebook is still at Chatter Up with Alex, but Twitter recently got changed to Chatter Up, capital W, Alex. Uh, I don't know what happened, but Twitter decided to make it to where you can only have a certain number of characters in your username. So there's that. Also, don't forget to go subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that bell icon and turn on all notifications so you don't miss a single episode. The podcast is also available on other streaming services such as Spotify, Anchor, Google and Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Overcast, and RadioPublic, and more. But moving on, in today's episode, we're going to continue with our off-season review episodes. And then in today's episode, we are going over the Baltimore Orioles. Now, let's step into the Chatters box. Alright, so like we have been doing, we're going to do a little overview of their 2020 season, just to see where their team was at last year. So for their record and placement, they were 25 and 35 in the 60-game season. That had them fourth in the AL East, which is not bad. I honestly thought they were fifth, but I forgot that belonged to the Red Sox. Alright, so we'll get into some team ranks with hitting and pitching. Let's start with some hitting ranks. They were tied for 16th in the league in runs with 274. They were 16th also in the league in slugging percentage with 321, 14th in OPS at 750, 15th in home runs with 77. They were tied for 15th in RBIs with 264. They had a 514 and 164 strikeout to walk ratio, but they were top 10 in average and actually had the top 7 with a 258. So not terrible on the hitting side, really middle of the pack besides that average, but still definitely some improvement could be in there. Alright, so we're going to move on to some pitching rankings that they had as a team. So for ERA, they ranked 16th with a 4.51. They were 24th out of 30 in saves. They were 11 out of 18, which isn't bad. They blew 7 saves, which also isn't that great, but not a bad percentage, really. They were tied for 14th in home runs given up with 79. They were 25th in strikeouts as a team with 487. They gave up the 19th most walks with 192, and their batting average against them as a team was 246, which had them in 19th place. So again, middle of the pack, really. Obviously, they can do some improving on the pitching side as well. So let's get into some standout players or top debuts that they had from any of their top prospects. I have 4 listed here from my personal list. I'll start out with Jose Iglesias, their shortstop from last year. He batted 373, which led the team. He had a 400 on-base percentage and a 956 OPS, which on-base plus slugging percentage for those of you who don't know. He also had 17 doubles, which led the team. 3 home runs, 24 RBIs, which was 5th on the team, and he did all that in just 39 games, so not too bad. The reason he didn't win the batting title above DJ LeMahieu is because he didn't play enough games, for those of you who are wondering. Alright, next we're going to move on to their number 5 prospect that made his debut last year, Ryan Mountcastle. He's a left fielder. He can also play some first base. So in 35 games last year, he batted .333, which ranked 3rd on the team overall. He had a .386 on-base percentage, and then an OPS of 878, which isn't too bad for a rookie. He had 5 home runs and 23 RBIs. Like I said, that was in 35 games, so that's a pretty good chunk of the season. So that's not bad. Pretty good debut, if I say so myself. Alright, moving on, we got Renato Nunez next, who played mainly first base for them last year. He batted 256 with a 324 on base percentage and an OPS of 816. He led the team in home runs with 12, second on the team in RBIs with 31, and he played in 51 games. So he was definitely one of their top offensive guys. Maybe not on the average side, really, but he was on base quite a bit, and he definitely had some pop. Alright, so the final one I have listed here is Anthony Santander. I think he played mainly, I want to say, right field, maybe left field. He's a corner outfielder. He batted 261 with a 315 on base percentage and an 890 OPS. He hit 13 doubles last year, which was third on the team. He had 11 home runs, which was second, just behind Renato Nunez. And then he was tied for first on the team in RBIs with 32. And that was just in 37 games. So imagine if he played in 50 to 55 games, he would have done even better. Definitely would have been their best offensive player. Alright, so now we're going to get into some key offseason subtractions that the Orioles had. Starting off again with they actually lost Jose Iglesias. They ended up trading him to the Angels for minor league pitchers Garrett Stallings, who actually ended up turning into their number 27 prospect, and then Gene Pinto. Next on the list, they lost Dwight Smith Jr. at free agency. He signed a minor league contract with the Reds. He wasn't that much of a factor for him last year. He batted .222 with just 2 home runs and 6 RBIs. And then Alex Cobb, one of their main starting pitchers, probably their ace from last year. They also traded him to the Angels in a different trade. They traded him with cash considerations for second base prospect Jahmai Jones. He then turned into the Orioles' number 19th prospect. Next, for a key subtraction for the Orioles, I have listed Hanser Alberto. He signed a minor league contract with the Royals. He was mainly second baseman for them. He batted a .283 with 3 home runs and 22 RBIs last year, so pretty decent. I'm sure the Orioles are going to miss that bat in their lineup. Alright, then the final offseason subtraction I have for the Orioles is Renato Nunez, who, like I stated before, was one of their main offensive guys. So they're definitely going to miss his bat in the lineup. And they lost him to the Tigers on a minor league contract. Alright, so next let's get into some key offseason additions that the Orioles made. They made quite a few good ones, in my opinion. The first one being they claimed Yomer Sanchez off waivers from the White Sox. Yomer actually won the second base Gold Glove in 2019, so that's a pretty good pickup. And he also batted .313 with just one solo home run and an RBI in just 11 games last year, but picking up that glove is definitely good for them. I think that's a solid pickup, and I'd like to see how that works out for them. Next, they picked up shortstop Freddie Galvez, which fills the hole for the Iglesias trade they made. They got him on a 1-year contract. He batted .220 last year with 7 home runs and 16 RBIs, so not bad. Definitely, I think he's a better fielder than Iglesias, if I do remember correctly. His bat could do some improving, but well, you get what you can get. Alright, next for the key off-season additions, I like that they added the Jahmai Jones second base prospect. He, again, was acquired in the Cobb trade. And then 2 pitchers that if they would have added a few years ago, everybody would have been freaking out about and would have thought the Orioles would have been World Series contenders for sure. Well, maybe not World Series, but definitely playoff contenders. They signed Felix Hernandez and Matt Harvey both to minor league contracts. Felix, unfortunately, did not play last year. He signed with the Braves, but opted out because of COVID. And Matt Harvey was not himself last year. He actually has not been himself for quite a few years. But if both of those can get back to somewhat of what they used to be in the past, those are definitely guys to keep an eye out for the 2021 season. Alright, so now let's talk about their potential 2021 lineup. and how I would personally set it up. So starting off, I would do Cedric Mullins playing center field. I would also maybe platoon him since he bats left. I would platoon him with Austin Hayes, who is also another good young center fielder that they have. Batting second, I would put Ryan Mountcastle playing left field. And then batting third, Anthony Santander playing right. Batting fourth, Trey Mancini playing first base. Really happy to see him back this year. We'll get more into him later. Batting fifth, Rio Ruiz playing third. Batting sixth, I would have Galvez playing shortstop. Batting seventh, DJ Stewart playing DH. I know that guy's a Yankee killer. I hate seeing him come up to the plate against the Yankees. Batting eighth would be their catcher, Pedro Severino. And then batting ninth, I would have Yomer Sanchez playing second. So not a bad lineup really on paper. You also have Chris Davis coming off the bench. I mean, I know he has been terrible lately, but he can still crush the ball. So that's not bad. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and move on to the 2021 rotation options that they have. We'll start off with probably their ace from last year, in my opinion. John Means. Well, not their ace, but definitely one of their best. Last year, he went 2-4 with a 4.53 ERA. He gave up 12 home runs and had a 42 strikeout to 7 walk ratio. His batting average against was 220. He had a .98 whip, which is, for those who don't know, walk and hits given up per innings pitched. Alright, so another option that they have, I just spoke about, is Felix Hernandez. The last time he pitched was in 2019, and he went 1-8 with a 6.40 ERA, with 57 strikeouts and 25 walks. He had a 291 batting average against and a 153 whip. So definitely not his best season, but I definitely think he can improve. Alright, next, for their rotation option, they got left-handed pitcher Wade LeBlanc. Last year he went 1-0 with an 8.06 ERA, 13 strikeouts to 8 walks, a 293 batting average against, and a 1.57 whip in just 22 1/3 innings pitched. Next I got listed here is their number 10 prospect in the system, Dean Kramer. Last year when he made his debut, he went 1-1 with a 4.82 ERA, 22 strikeouts, 12 walks, and a 214 batting average against and a 1.45 whip in just 18 2/3 innings pitched. So it's not bad. The strikeout to walk ratio is pretty good, and I think he's definitely going to be a big part of their rotation coming up this year. Next, we got left-handed pitcher Keegan Aiken, their number 15 prospect in the system. Last year, he went 1-0 with a 7.45 ERA, 9 strikeouts, 2 walks, and a 310 batting average against, and a 1.55 whip. And then I got 2 more listed here. The first one being Matt Harvey. Last year, he did not have his best season. He went 0-3 with an 11.57 ERA, 10 walks to 5 10 strikeouts to 5 walks, 450 batting average against, which is way high, and a 274 whip. Like I said, not his best season, so I could definitely see him having a better one than that, if not, big yikes. Alright, so their last rotation option I have listed here is right-handed pitcher Jorge Lopez. Last year he went 2-2 with a 6.69 ERA. He had 28 strikeouts to 12 walks, and he had a 297 batting average against with a 1.49 whip. Alright, so out of those, how many is that? Out of those 7, I think starting off the year, if I had to guess, it's going to go John Means, Felix Hernandez, Wade LeBlanc, Jorge Lopez, and either Keegan Aiken or Dean Kramer, one of those two. One of those two, or if not both, are going to start in the minor leagues this year, and Matt Harvey might start in the rotation. It's really just depending on what the Orioles want to do with their development. But yeah, I think one of the two, out of Dean Kramer or Keegan Aiken, will make it, or they're both going to end up in the minor leagues to start the season. All right, so for the 2021 closer for the Orioles, I personally think it should be Cesar Valdez. Just based off of last year, he went 3 for 3 in saves. He had a 1.26 ERA, 12 strikeouts, 3 walks, a .143 batting average against, and a 0.7 WHIP in just 14 and a third innings. Coming out of the bullpen, that's pretty reliable. 14 innings is a pretty good chunk, honestly. I know MLB.com is guessing it's going to be their left-handed pitcher Tanner Scott, but if it were me, I would definitely go with Cesar Valdez. All right. So let's get into some key players to watch for the 2021 season. I got 4 listed here on my personal list. The first one being King Felix Hernandez. Him and Matt Harvey, I would definitely keep an eye on those two. They are definitely both due for a comeback season. And if they do, it's going to be a great story, and a great story for the O's. The next one is another great story, is Trey Mancini. For those who don't know, he did not play in 2020 because he got diagnosed with cancer and had to receive treatment. But he is back, he is healthy, and I'm really excited to see what he's able to bring to the table for the Orioles in 2021. Alright, so my last key player to watch for the Orioles this year is their number 1 prospect, Adelie Rushman. He's a switch hitting catcher. He was drafted number 1 overall in 2019. If I had to compare him to anyone, it's a little biased, honestly, but I would probably compare him to a Jorge Posada type kind of player. He's probably a little faster, might have a little more pop and contact, but just because he's that switch hitting catcher, that's my easiest comparison. But the last time he played, it was in 2019, since there was no minor league season last year. In 37 games in 2019, he batted .254 with a .351 on base percentage and a .774 OPS. He had 8 doubles, 4 home runs, and 26 RBIs. So not bad for his first time in the minor leagues. I think they got a really good prospect coming up. I think the fans have a lot to look forward to with him. Alright. Moving on to predicting some of the awards that could be handed out by the team, such as MVP, Cy Young, and Rookie of the Year. For the Orioles, MVP for their team in 2021, I think it's going to be Trey Mancini. Some stats I think he might have. I think he's going to bat around 276 on the average side, and then have 28 home runs and 96 RBIs. I don't have him quite reaching that 100 RBI mark just because the offense isn't quite there yet, but we'll see. For the Cy Young, I could see Dean Kramer having a breakout year, going 13 and 11 with around a 3.75 ERA and around 200 strikeouts. But the Rookie of the Year, I do think it's going to be Adelie Rushman. I think they're going to call him up at some point this year once they're out of contention. And then I think he's going to go and bat .284 and then hit 17 home runs with 65 RBIs. That's just a guess. That's maybe a full season's worth, maybe a little less. And then predicting their team record and their placement, I think they're about a 65 to 75 win team this year, but I do think they're going to place last in the AL East, getting trumped over by the Red Sox. But yeah, that is everything I got for this episode. So my overall review for the Orioles this offseason is going to be a solid C on the grading scale. They made some decent moves with the trades they made and the returns they got back while cutting some salary in the process. But they also filled those pieces with some calculated risk, with some signings and some other trades they made. And then they also have some great young talent in their system and their squad. And I think they're heading in the right direction. but they are definitely a few years away from the playoffs, and I think Adelie Rushman is the answer. He is definitely, without a doubt, the future face of their franchise. They've surrounded him with some good young talent. They're missing a few more pieces, but give him a few more years, I can definitely see the Orioles making the playoffs. And eventually, maybe, a run at the World Series title. That is everything I got for you guys today. Don't forget to like and follow us on all the social media and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you on the next episode of Chatter Up.